So as per our plan, good morning. I think as per our plan, we need to start reporting today because I think as per this plan which we have shared earlier, we have covered topic number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We are on the ninth topic today. It is day 7, right? So I think we are a little behind the schedule, but then yeah, because we have not been able to have the classes completely for 1 hour for some time. That is why things got a little delayed. But then I still we should be able to cover things within 20 days. I'll see how I can adjust timings across multiple modules. But for today, the topic we are going to cover is reporting. Now, reporting, when you actually establish any process or when you want to improve things, the first thing you have to understand, where do you stand today and what is it that you want to achieve, right? So this concept of I know that you're not aware of ITL concept, but then just from plain English perspective, I think there is a concept called continuous improvement, right? And this is all about improving on your services, on your products, whatever you are delivering to your customers, day by day, week by week, month by month, year on year, right? So that you can do only and only by reporting. Unless you start measuring your data, unless you understand where you are today and where do you want to go tomorrow, not in literal terms, more in terms of, today, for example, my incident resolution time is 8 hours average, and I want to take it to 3 hours. I want to minimize it to 3 hours. Similarly, if my CSAT score today is 8, and I want to improve it to 9, I have to take some actions, I have to take some measures accordingly. Now, to do all of that, you first need to create some reports and systems, some dashboards and systems, which helps you measure things over a period of time, or I would say in the current period of time also, that, okay, how have we been doing in terms of number of incidents for last 1 year, for example? Has it been reducing? Has it been increasing? What kind of pattern do we have, right? Kind of trend reports. Now, to do that, I think and always any kind of reporting things, it is established in the fact of DIKW. And when I say DIKW, it is data, information, knowledge, wisdom. Again, it is taught in the title, so I will talk about it there in detail. But then just to tell you some context, right? So when I say data, so if I, for example, open an Excel sheet and write something 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that may not make some sense to people that, what is it all about? What are we trying to achieve here? If I use information, I mean, if I move further in the chain to information and I want to add the context like who, won, what, I mean, what is this? For example, this is average number of hours you take for a training of a particular module, or this is the average age of the members in a class. So this is the context you're adding to your data now. So data and information. Now, once you do that interpretation of reports, you reach to a further stage called knowledge, which is where you can show that, okay, over the last 3 years or 5 years, I've seen there is a continuous increase in number of incidents. It might be because of any reason, but then you have given some kind of interpretation there, given some information. Now, when you talk about knowledge, you actually add more context to it. You actually add more analysis to it. Okay, this is why it is happening. Maybe the number of applications I have been supporting earlier, they have increased now. Which means, of course, because if you are supporting more number of applications, then your incident count will increase, right? Or the number of people you had to support earlier, the number has reduced. Earlier, you might have 50 people. Now you have 20 people. So of course, the incident number is also increasing in that case, right? Because you have less people, so less people to manage applications. So that is why you're not able to actually pay much attention to things, right? So the idea is that. And then wisdom, as I was talking about DIKW, wisdom, it is actually taking a decision based on this knowledge which you have given, right? Now, what I'm trying to tell you is wisdom generally is, in this case of corporate world, right? So the people who have authority in terms of taking decisions, they are on the top level, right? The wisdom level. What we as a report analyst or a ServiceNow expert report analyst, right, whatever you will call it as, or a governance guy who is working on the report section, his job is to make sure that he is giving the right context to the decision makers. He's giving the right kind of information to them to enable them to make decisions. That is the whole concept of reporting. And I think It is not only ServiceNow. I think anywhere in this world, wherever you have a plan to improve, you want to see how fairly you are doing. Are you doing better? Are you doing worse? Even in this, I mean, and this concept of report and progress card, right? It has been there since day one of a school journey. We have been, we have been given those ranks, we have been given those numbers to showcase where are we, where do we stand. And based on that, we used to get feedback from our teachers. Okay, this is how you have to improve. Maybe your maths is good, English is not good. Go there and study hard in English, for example. So the idea I'm trying to deliver here is that reporting is a very, very important parameter for any organization, for any corporate, even as I said, in this education sector, in other sectors also, whatever, forget about IT, any corporate sector, because this is where you understand whether as a company, as an organization, are you growing? Are you doing the right thing to take the right decisions? Are you cutting costs at an operational level? Do you know where are those problems which you have to kind of take care of? This was the little context of reporting. I know from ServiceNow perspective, we don't need to cover it, but then just to give you some context, why in the first place do we need to create a report? That was the whole idea, right? Now in ServiceNow section, if you see how do reports work? So by default, if I have just click on report, I am getting this view of reports. So as I said earlier, if I search any keyword in the navigator section, I get the entire application here, and whatever is in that application, I can get here. So you can see there are so many things getting started: view run, create new, scheduled reports, import tables, header footer template, and there's a lot of things: report sources, report ranges, interactive filters, map sources, right? So we'll cover what is important for us, right, in terms of this training. Because as I said, ServiceNow is a deep ocean of knowledge. Every time you want to go drill down into a particular topic, you can have 15 hours, 16 hours in that topic itself. So because we have the limitation, we just need to understand the basics, fundamentals here. We'll focus on those things which are important for us. So first thing you see, this is the reports menu. This is where it shows you 3 or 4 tabs. One is my reports, which means the reports which I have created by myself. Then you have this group reports. If you're a part of any group and anybody in a group is creating that report and you share that report with your team, then all those reports will be visible here. Global, system administrator has created a report which is available to everybody who has access to this instance, who has a report viewer role. You should be able to see all of these reports in the system. And all, of course, it is a combination of my reports, global, and all everything. Right? This is how it looks like. Now, this is an area where you can make few things as a favorite. For example, if I just want to find out my favorite, there is no favorite report I have set in here because it says favorite filtering is on, but it is not showing me anything because I have not made any report as my favorite, for example. Now, let me just make this report as favorite, just for time being, right? And if I now want to search, I can see this here, right? So this is where your favorite report, because generally what happens is you somehow on a daily basis, you check certain reports. You don't look at the entire thing, right? So you kind of make them favorite so that it is easier for you to visit them again and again. Now, this part shows you what kind of report it is. This is pivot table, for example. This is donuts. So you see this, when I hover the mouse, it tells you that which table it is on, what is the type of this report, who it is shared with, groups and users, when was it created, who created it, when was it last. So all of that information, scheduled, published, last run, all of this. So this is a quick view. Look at the report. This is where it can tell you that what kind of report it will be. So it is a donut report. This is a pivot report, for example. This is a bar chart here. What you see here, right? This is a line graph here, right? So this is these are kind of different reports. We'll talk about it. What kind of reports are available with us. We'll go there as well. But just to let you know, how does this menu look like? How to interpret this? And table, I think you already understand that when you create a report, it is always on a particular table, for a particular process. So you created an incident, or you created a change, creating a problem, task, whatever, SLA. So this is a table, and this is where it tells you scheduled versus published, for example. So it says published. Okay, something is, I cannot see anything here right now. So yeah, nothing is scheduled, nothing is published. Yeah, so these are the published reports which are published, which are visible to everybody if you give them the URL for that report. Right. So now generally we do a title thing here. And if you one more thing, if you write, because I've created this report as favorite. So even if it is not on ABCD, it is, if I am sorting by title, right? It is not ABCD, it is K. Even then, this is the report. I think I've clicked by mistake on that report. I didn't want to click there. Then yeah. Anyways, we were about to come to this point little earlier in the game, but then yeah, let me just go back to that. So yeah, then you can always see however you. So if you want to just do a filter here, you can see the filter. You can remove the favorite filter, and we talked about all this. Now you can search the report here with the name. You can create a report, a new report. So you can create it from here. You can create it from here also. Create new from here under report section and create a report under this section. Now there is one more thing here. Settings, for example. You want to see what kind of, for example, if you see this type table created by last modified. So I have switched off this filter. So if I just kind of do this as well, it will show me these two options also. Okay, so these two options have come again after I changed my view. So this is something also I can do, right? This was about viewing the existing report. If I want to just kind of see a report, for example, this one I'm looking at. This is where it will open the report for you. Let me see how it will open. So this is how it has opened. There are so many tasks which are pending for 30 days, more than 30 days, pending for more than 60 days, pending for more than 90 days, pending for more than even more. This is still 90 days, this is more than 90 days. And this is a number of counts which are pending there. So to create this report, right, what has been done, to be honest. So just see this data to table. The first thing which we do is actually the report name. So you can put any report name here. You can select a source type, data source, table, or external import. I mean, this is also a facility that you can also externally import an Excel sheet. And based on that, system can plot the right graphs as per your requirement. This is also one thing you can do. And data source is something which is already defined as a source in system. For example, give you an example, right? So if I were to go to a table called incidents, it will take all the report. I mean, from performance perspective, it will have to actually query the entire incident table. And then you have to put some more filters there. But then what happens when you use data source? For example, I've just used active incidents. I'm just concerned about active incidents, and I'll put a filter called active equals to true. Then every time that report runs, it does not need to go to this entire table called incident. It will just go to the data source and it will fetch data a little early. So it will be from performance perspective, it is a better practice to use data sources rather than tables if the data source can be reused across multiple reports. Right, a table, and then you select. Now I've selected table here, and they've selected table as follow-on task. This is the table name which they have used. Right now, if I want to see what kind of visualizations I can have, this is where it becomes more powerful, right? Because all these visualizations which we have here, it is important to understand those visualizations, because this is where it now we cannot learn in this class that what visualization is for what scenario, because that is a different topic altogether, because it is a very long session in terms of when do you use bar versus when do you use pie versus when do you use donut versus when do you use line graph. That is something which we cannot actually look in this. What I'm trying to tell you is these are the different kind of visualizations available in ServiceNow. For example, one is bar. This is called as vertical bar graph. This is histogram. This is horizontal bar. This is Pareto. Now, Pareto is more of a 80-20 analysis, which tells you that, okay, if I were to draw this line in terms of cumulative percentage, it will tell you that, okay, generally the trend observed is that 80% of issues are caused because of 20% of the root causes. So those kind of analysis can be done using Pareto. Now, then you have pies and donuts. So I think very, very clearly we know about it. So this is donut because it has a hole in the middle. This is pie. It does not have a hole. Otherwise, the concept is same, because it also shows you the percentage. It also shows the percentage for a particular proportion, right? A ratio, proportion, percentage kind of stuff. This is semi-donut. So I think it is up to us to understand and visualize what kind of report will be suitable for my customers, for my stakeholders. That will this give them, will it be more appealing versus this one? So that is an exercise which you learn over a period of time, which is experience-based things. However, there are certain standards. For example, if I was talking about, if you want to show kind of proportion or a percentage kind of thing or ratio kind of thing, this is the right report, which gives you a fair amount of idea, okay, out of these 100 things, 50 of them are belonging to this part, 20, 30, and 20, for example. This is where it gives you better visualization, more as compared to a bar diagram. So in bar diagram, that kind of visualization in terms of proportion will not be there. Bar diagrams are generally used for the cases which you're seeing, you are kind of comparing across multiple categories. And you're not talking about proportion ratio, you're talking more about the absolute numbers and see which is the highest one, which is the second highest, which is the third highest, all those kind of things you can do by bar kind of thing. This is time series. So of course, over a period of time, this is where it shows, right? So anything, for example, company's margin or revenue, you see over a period of time that how it has grown. Sensex, NSE, whatever you see, right? So even the number of incidents in this case, are they growing? The number of changes, are they growing? Successful changes, are they growing? So all of over a period of time we're talking about. This is, so that is what it is called as area chart. This is column. This is line chart. This is spline. I mean, it talks about, it kind of puts a dot further onto the data point which we are looking. So there is not much difference here, except that it also talks about the data point separately. Then you have this step line. So I think if you remember in a school days, when we actually studied the statistics and data analysis, all of these things were there. Now, the idea is that all of these things are here as well. So you can use, depending on the scenario, you can use any kind of report, whatever you want to use. So this is visualized at a bubble chart. Right? It is more of a situation where you see, okay, in these areas, I have more concentration versus these areas for something, right? So those kind of reports can be here. This is heat map. This is your multi-level pivot table, which means if I want to say, show me incidents by priority as well as assignees, right? So maybe you can plot assignee here, you can plot priority here, and you can show that, okay, for this assignee, for this priority, this is the number of incident count he has. For this assignee, for this priority, the incident count is this. So I mean, it is more about XY axis, multi-level pivot, and you're seeing the data, whatever you want to see. Visualizes a single data point. So this is how it looks like, single score kind of report, right? So sometimes you just want to see, show me the number of major incidents happening in my organization right now. It can show you 5. Now 5 is a big number, to be honest, for a major incident, because major incident generally, 1, 2 are enough, more than enough. But yeah, this is where it gives you a very, very appealing single score widget. This is your clock type widget, right? And this is speedometer kind of widget. So again, maybe you want to see, I want to reach to a level of 80%, which is here, and I have reached till 40%. So I have to still take that particular path to reach there. So that is where, if you remember in the beginning itself, I told you all of these reports, the purpose of these reports is to actually improve things. Finding out what you're doing good versus what you're doing bad and where you need to improve. So if you can do all of that, so it is all up to us that how do you, there are, as I said, there are benchmark standards to tell you why do we need to use pi in this case versus when can we use, but then that is will be in another session and we can take it later on after the course is required, but then not at this point of time. Yeah. But still, I have given you a fair amount of idea that these are the available widgets and charts, and this is why at a high level they are being used. This is also called as box. So this is where you kind of do that statistical analysis for maximum, minimum, median, mean, all of that. This is where you use this kind of visualization. This is calendar to understand, right? Control. So maybe you have a line that, okay, this is my baseline. I want to see how much I am deviating from my baseline for anything. That this is the funnel, right? This is a list view. This is something which you by default look into the system, right? So when if you remember, we have already gone through this list view thing. How does a list view look like? This is a map. For example, if I want to see something, okay, show my data centers across the globe. Where are they located, right? Or maybe I want to see, if I am handling a global company, I just want to see, show me the incidents by location. So one thing is that I get a report that, okay, from US I have this, from UK I have this, but this is also very good visualization who understand the map, okay, where are different countries or different continents located. You can also understand, okay, so which means I have higher volume of incidents from this area rather than this area, for example. So then you can focus, are there any local issues which we have to cater to? This is where your map things actually help. This is pivot. Pyramid, right? So maybe you have this identifying few causes and you know that the most important ones are these, followed by this, followed by this. This is where your pyramid looks like. This is a trend report. This is the trend box. So what I'm trying to tell you, you can see the number of visualizations available. Number. So it is all. So you can get as creative as you want when you are actually creating the reports. However, because you always have the timeline dependencies and urgency and all that, so you kind of do the basic ones. But whenever you have time to learn and grow, and maybe you want to impress your stakeholder, saying, oh, this is okay. Can you see this visualization? This looks better than the previous one. They will also tell you, okay, yeah, go for it and show it to me. So this will give you satisfaction that, okay, you have been able to add value to the users. And this is where you also, when you do consulting to ServiceNow or any reporting engagement, you actually show them, I have these three options to show you this, but same kind of data analysis. Which one would you like to have? So this is also the way to kind of convince or entice the customers, right? This is where you define. So you just need to understand from your system administration perspective that there are four things which you need to configure for a report. One is data, second is type, which is where we talked about the source type, report name and table, which you want to use. Type is the visualization of the report, which you want to select. Then you have configure, because your questions in the exam, if you are going to appear for it, or even the knowledge checks, will be based out of these things actually. Where do I do this? Where do I do that? Configure. Now this is an interesting part, right? So they have done group by aging level here, and that is why you can see it here, aging level. We can see the group 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, right? We can play around with this. I can do a stack by, for example, and I want to see maybe assign to, right? And now I'm running this report. See this. You see the difference. So it is already grouped by this particular thing. Now stack by. So stack by is happening on different axes. Now it is showing you 30 days, you have so many incidents, but then if you want to see assignees of those incidents, this is what you can see. Because this is assigned to nobody, this is assigned to Beth Angeline, this is assigned to whoever the name is, right? So you can do the stack by on a different axis as compared to the group by. So group by can happen on one axis and stack by can happen on second axis. This is why there's a concept of group by and stack by. And this is very interesting concept because generally, you don't want to create multiple reports for the same purpose. Now you can give, for example, I can show you this, right? So if I just want to do additional grouping here, how will it change the behavior? This is where it becomes actually important. Assignment group, assign to, maybe I want to show category. So I'm just taking those fields which are reference fields. This is what you have to understand that, okay, they should be generally choice field or reference field. Text fields, you can't generate reports, right? So this is where it becomes very important to understand all of that, right? So maybe priority, if there is anything, yeah. So let's see how things will change here. Now I have used in additional group by and not in stack to. Okay, so just I'm running this report. I've not saved it yet. Let's see what happens. Do you see this here? Now I have this concept of group by, stack by. I can do a group by runtime for anything. For example, if I want to do a runtime behavior, I can do assign to. In that case, stack by assign to will not make any sense. So I can do group by assignment group, for example, and stack by assign to. Now, can you see this? So this whole thing has changed. It is no more the task. It is no more the aging. It is on the basis of group and the basis of assign to. So what I am trying to tell you is this is where you should be focusing things, because generally you can create one single report. You can create multiple additional grouping there, multiple stacking by, and people can slice and dice the data based on their understanding, based on their requirements. This feature is very, very important feature in ServiceNow reporting, that there is no point in creating so many reports and making a system quite heavy with number of reports and performance issues. Right? Just a minute. Just talking about the same point, that this is where you have to apply the best practices, where you can use one single data source, one single report, and give multiple group by and stack by, and people can use it as per their understanding. For example, this is stacked bar. Now let's see grouped bar. How will it work? You see here, so it was stacked earlier, which means on one single graph, we were seeing multiple, this assigned to this, assigned to this. Here, we have done the grouped bar. So we are, all of these people we have assigned to, they are actually spread on the axis rather than stacking on the top. So for example, you were seeing it here like this, right? Earlier it was like this. So everything was on the one single line. Here we are grouping them together differently. Now if you see this display data table, I can run it. It will show you the numbers Can you see this here? So whatever you are seeing here, it also shows you a tabular view at the bottom of it, just to show you the exact numbers. Rather than you going here and finding out, okay, 30, something of that sort, that is also you can do here itself. Okay, if I use display data label option. Now configure function field. Yeah, that's, you need to see the report. Okay, so let's not do this. I mean, this is not very important for us. Aggregation count. So I can do aggregation by average, by sum. So, you know, when you use Excel, these are the different parameters on which you kind of do. For example, average age of incident resolution, you will use average rather than count in that case, right? So there are use cases where you want to use certain things like count, sum, average, whatever you want to see. Set value formatting. For this one, there is no options available, but then there are cases where you can from the decimal perspective, you can tell them, okay, I want to see the data up to this decimal range, 0.2, 0.3, 0.5. You can do that as well, right? Show all. System default, it is showing something. And if I want to see show all, it will show me everything. So, or I can maybe, generally you have also requirements where people say, show me top 10 categories, show me top 10 assignees. So you just use top 10, top 12, top 15, top 20 here. This is also an option which you can give to the stakeholders, right? This is where it is important. So this actually, this part configure, I think every part is important here. I'm not saying any part is less important, but this is where you get to do a lot of things, because here you just need to define the source, you just need to define the visualization type. Here you actually do you actually do configure, you actually play around with the report. You can do anything, whatever you want to do. Now, if you want to add one more condition, for example, if I just want to add condition here, state in pending, open, and I want to also see maybe created on, maybe I'm going to say last 12 months. I want to just run this story. So this is behavior, right? It was an interesting behavior that you can select things from here also, last 3 months, last 6 months. So most of those parameters are actually ready-made. This is where I've been telling people that ServiceNow actually has excellent reporting engine. You should use it for your own benefit. This is where things really matter, right? So now I have just put one more filter here that I can always do from here, right? So this is one thing we can always do. Now, if I go further up, style part here. In the styling part, it is more about, font and display and display data labels. For example, if I just want to run the same report, and do you see this here, right? You don't have data labels displayed by default. If I just do this, data labels will be displayed on the numbers, right? I want to see in middle, then it will come and go in middle, right? So all you need to understand is what is the behavior we can do. So you can allow them to overlap. You can change the size of this graph, chart size, small, large, medium. Maybe I want to see the large one. Right? Can you see the size has been changed? Decimal precision is there. You can actually do it. I was talking about this decimal precision, right? Sometime back. Drill down view, you want to go to a particular, okay, this up to this level, I want to see this report. You can always do that as well. This is also one thing we can do. So style is more about which chart color we want to use. Which use several colors. I can use anything, set palette. By default, it is showing default UI. You can select any of those palettes. It will change the look and feel of this. So this is more about styling. It does not change the data. It does not change the content, but it changes the way the report looks like, right? So you just need to understand that under what section you define what. This is where the most important thing is here. So this section you define sources, this section you define visualization, this section you define all the actual parameters of the report, and this is where you define the look and feel part. Title, I can change a lot of things for title also. Show chart title, size of chart title color, chart title position, alignment of the title, alignment of horizontal alignment, vertical alignment, all of that you can do here. Legend, right? So it can show you legend. Okay, what are the legends? What are these things? Left align legend text, show legend border, for example. Top. I'm just trying to. So this is something to play around. I mean, we cannot talk about each and every option. So you can see legend has moved on top now. They were below some time back. Now they are on top. You can play around with these things as per you want, right? It's all up to us. How do we want to do that? We don't need to go in so much detail in this section because there are other things to cover in terms of reporting, which I'll just jump on after this. So this is x-axis. You can define the x-axis name, also whatever you want to define, title size, or all of those labeling. So all of that styling can be done here. This is y-axis, you can define things here, right? So this is how you create a report. Now, for example, this report is created now, and I will, so this is the information that it will tell you what is this report all about, right? Now, here you can share this report. Share, I can schedule. This is where you have to understand what are those different features which are available for reporting. So people can ask you, okay, what kind of reports are available in ServiceNow? Then the answer is normal, the reports which we are seeing here just now, we just saw. We can schedule those reports also, which means if there's an export to be sent from ServiceNow to somebody at a certain time interval, at a certain time period, you can always do that scheduling part. You can share it to specific users and groups. For example, you created a report only for your group's purpose, not for everybody, or only for executives, right? So you would just want to share it with them rather than the entire world, because it might contain something confidential which you don't want to show everybody. You can add a report to a dashboard. I'll come to that part, how a dashboard looks like. Schedule it, you can export it to PDF as well. So when you schedule it, it'll ask you so many questions. Okay, if I have to schedule this report, then it will ask me, okay, what is that scheduled job name? What is the report you're talking about? Which user to try to go to? Which are those groups it has to be sent to? What are those email addresses you want to send? When do you want to run it? Do you want to run it daily, weekly, monthly, periodically, on demand, all of that? What is the exact time? So when you gather requirements, when you kind of work on any reporting requirements, especially from scheduling perspective, so you just to understand, these are the different parameters I need to gather from the end users. Okay, this is what they are saying. Okay, Alok, I want to create a report. Can you help me creating a report? So you need to understand, first of all, do you want to schedule it? Or do you just want to create a report in ServiceNow? If you just want to talk about creation of report, then these are the things you need to understand from them. Data, type, configure, style. You can give, if you don't understand it, how it works, use your own understanding, give them a demo report, show them this is how it will look like. Are you okay? They'll tell you some changes. This is also because sometimes even the customers are not very clear in terms of the requirements. So in that case, this is how you entice them. Now, if they want a scheduled report, the question for you, next question is complicated. So I have told you how the report will be created, whether it should be shared by anybody, shared to anybody or not. How do I schedule it? If I have to schedule it, these are the different parameters you need to capture. Okay, what is the name? What are the groups, users, run, daily, weekly, time? What is the subject of that particular email? What is that message? Do I have to send a landscape PDF versus a normal PDF, or a PG, or embedded PNG? Embedded PNG means that all of these will be sent as an attachment in the email. When you say embedded PNG, that particular image will be in the body of the email itself. This is where this embedded PNG helps you. You want to select, you want to send this report with something else also. So you can include that particular report here as well. What do you want to include? You can do that as well. Right now, there is no scheduled report in my instance. That is why it is not showing anything. But then what I'm trying to say is that you can combine the schedule with other report schedule, because there are some dependent reports. Right? This is where it becomes important. Now, you can export to PDF. So this is a very small thing that we always export to PDF. Now here also it gets multiple options. Do you want to generate now? You would send an email, landscape, or portrait view, right? All of that. Now add to dashboard means that there is a dashboard I have created already, and I want to add this report to a dashboard. I can tell them, this is the dashboard I want to add. I want to add this report. This is one way to do it. Second way to do it is you go to dashboard and then you create that report from there, and you add that report from there. So there are two ways to add a report to a dashboard. And then this is delete, right? And this is, you have insert and stay. We have already talked about all of this. Update, we know all these three options because they are form level features which we are aware of. Any questions on the report? This is what all you need to understand from reporting purposes, and scheduling, sharing, adding dashboard, exporting, configuring, all of that is something which you need to understand from reporting perspective. As I said, we can go deeper and deeper and deeper into how this visualization will help, but then that is not the content of this course right now. So we will stay away from that discussion. Unless you have any questions on whatever we've covered, let me know. Otherwise, I move on to the next topic, which is reporting itself. But then when I say reporting, there is a concept of dashboard. So all these reports, so, okay, what happens is, for example, you have created one report, two report, three report. Now, people may not want to come to report and see them individually. They want to see a holistic, a consolidated view of multiple reports together. For example, they're looking at for incidents, right? And then they want to see it for incident itself. For example, if I want to come here, the dashboard section, and I just want to see a report called all report, or maybe these are all dashboards here, right? So for example, if I just want to see a simple one, you can understand, maybe see this change management, for example. So this is the dashboard view, which means you can have multiple tabs here. Right now, you can add multiple. So these are individual reports which have been added to this particular dashboard. So that report which I was showing you some time back, it is a single report. Now you can club 4 or 5 single reports which are the same category. I mean, whatever the requirement is. For example, somebody wants to have the entire view of incident problem changes in one single shot. This is where you can create dashboard called ITSM dashboard, for example, right? Somebody wants to drill down deep into incident only, just create an incident dashboard and show them these are the different reports. By priority, you have something, by open incident, you have something, by assignee, you have something. So all that slicing, dicing thing, and then adding these reports to dashboard. This is where you actually show the power of the platform. That is why it becomes very important. So you just understand this. This is an output. This is where you see the value of implementation of ServiceNow, because they can directly see that this is something I was not able to do earlier. They can also measure their improvement. Okay, are we improving over time? Yes. So which means this platform ServiceNow has helped us to achieve our goals. So all of that you can do by adding those reports in dashboard. And this is how you add it. This is the option, add widgets. I can select reports, whatever I have created for myself, and I want to just add this report here. And let's right now there's no data to display. Maybe just trying to tell you any report for that matter. I'm just trying to add if it has any data. For example, yeah, it has some data. I add this report. Can you see this? It has come up here. This is how you add a widget to a report. This is quite interactive. This is actually, it comes with PA, this kind of like performance analytics. We'll talk about that concept also quickly. So this is how you add widget. This is how you share the dashboard. It is right now restricted to these tools. You can add users, groups, whatever you want to add, you can do this as well. Right. So these things are very important in terms of access controls are very important in ServiceNow also, because you may not want to show everything to everyone. Right. So this is where things get really important. So this was the report and dashboard, which is a generic thing. Now which you have to learn as a part of your ServiceNow fundamentals, of course, no question. But there is an advanced version of reporting, which is called as performance analytics. So actually this dashboard which I'm showing you right now, it is a performance analytics dashboard because it is more of an interactive one. I can add multiple widgets, and I'll tell you the basic difference between performance analytics and the normal report. So normal report, what is happening, right? I am trying to find out the data which is at the moment in the system. I mean to say that I want to find out, okay, show me the active incidents in the system right now. Or show me what is the status of my incident in terms of open, work in progress, close. That is the current snapshot. I mean, that is the current value of those particular records in the system. Now, if I were to just understand this use, so this is where it becomes important to understand why do we want to use performance analytics, and this is an advanced version reporting service. Now, you have to pay some premium amount. I mean, as when you buy it from ServiceNow, this is not by default free, of course, but then yeah, it is a paid thing. So the idea is, if I were to see something over a period of time, okay. For example, I used to have, open incidents 6 months ago. I used to have a lot of open incidents in my queue. And the number of open incidents has been decreasing or has been increasing. Number of unresolved incidents has been increasing or decreasing. My MTTR over a period of time, I mean time to resolve incident, is it increasing or decreasing? Right. So all of those things where you need historical data also. So this is the only difference between the normal report. Difference more in terms of the use case, more in terms of why do we need it. Then of course, when you create a performance analytics report, there are a lot of things to take care of, much more than what we just saw. But that is not a part of the course content. Still, I'll tell you at a high level that, okay, what are the things you want to look at there. But then the idea is, whenever you want to use a historical set of data, you want to use a snapshot. Okay, what was the value of this data 3 months back? What was the value of this data 6 months back? And are we improving now? For example, as I said, MTTR, which is mean time to resolve an incident, right? So is it increasing? Is it decreasing? Number of open incidents, are there? Number of reopen incidents, are they increasing, decreasing? Because once it is closed in system, or once whatever the update has been done, that update can be reflected in your normal reporting. Because as I said, normal reporting is all about the existing as of today, what the current value of that particular record. It is based on that. However, performance analytics is used primarily to do kind of trend analysis, where you want to use the value which was there 2 months before, which was there 3 months before. This is the primary difference between performance analytics and I think I gave you some use cases also, right? So I just want to see my improvement, successful changes, right? I want to see. So number of changes successful last year, this year, all of those kind of things. So I can see the value being changed. So whenever any value of any record changes over a period of time, to capture those kind of changes, what was the value before, what is the value now? This is where you use performance analytics to see the trend improving or decreasing. This is where you use performance analytics. Is that making sense? Do you understand the difference between performance analytic reporting and normal reporting? So normal reporting is all about the existing values, the current values in system. Performance analytics is more about, we have captured a value 6 months back, and we're comparing that value to today's value. Right? As I said, number of open incidents over a period of time. So you right now that incident might be closed. So in your normal reporting, it will be showing as closed. You will not be able to compare that. But if you use performance analytics, you'll be able to compare, okay, so I used to have 50 incidents open at every point of time. Now I have 20 incidents open, for example. This is where you use the power of performance analytics. Now these are the dashboards. So percentage.
Alok,
yeah.
Can we continue from here tomorrow? I have a call at 11. A small
okay, no problems. No problem. I think we have almost covered. I just need 2-3 more minutes. Is that okay? No problems.
Actually, no.
We'll cover that tomorrow, the remaining. Okay, so I'll stop for now.